Hello, everybody. Welcome back to James's House of Rock. My name is James Hurley, and we are starting season 3. Where have I been? Well, since the last time you saw me, I have been going through my high school career, and it's been a very busy time full of plenty of headaches, stress, and homework. However, I am officially done with all of it. I am now a graduated man going off to college, and I thought, what better way to end my high school career than from where it started, doing James's House of Rock? So, for this particular episode of the show, it's going to be largely the same that you guys know and love, or just know, depending on your opinion. However, moving forward in this season, we're going to be shaking things up a little bit more with a couple of new formats, a couple of new games, and a lot of cool guests for you to watch. Well, today, to go back to a little bit of tradition, we are covering the life and career of Gerard Way, the former frontman of My Chemical Romance and the current lead singer of Gerard Way and the Hormones. So, Gerard Way was born on April 9th, 1977, and lived in Belleville, New Jersey, with his parents and his younger brother, Mikey Way, as well as his grandmother, Elena Lee Rush. And Alina was a big influence on him, teaching him to perform and sing and paint and a couple of other artistic things throughout most of his life, buying him his first guitar and other instruments to kind of instigate this talent that she could see in him. A little bit later on, he began working at a local comic book shop near his home and developed a love for comic books and wanted to pursue a career in writing comic books. While he was at the comic book shop, he gained the attention of his manager with a cool idea that he had, and his manager helped him make a publishing deal with Boneyard Press to publish what would become On a Raven's Wing, which I couldn't really find a whole lot of details about what this comic book was about. However, I am to understand that it was incredibly dark and gruesome, like you would kind of expect from Gerard Way, to be honest. But only 2 issues were ever made of the series before being abruptly canceled due to losing its artistic team. So later on in his life, he graduated from the School of Visual Arts in New York with a bachelor's degree in 1999. Again, from everything that I could read, I couldn't find what it was for, but it was at this time to pursue a career in the comic book industry, so my assumption it was probably in creative writing or something of that nature. So after all this was said and done, he started joining or forming many other bands, such as Ray Gun Jones and Nancy Drew, one of which actually featuring future band member Ray Toro, but decided to focus on his art career after none of them proved successful. Most of them disbanded or just didn't end up going anywhere, and he was getting very disenchanted with the music industry, so he decided to just pursue what he originally wanted to do as a comic book writer. However, while working as an intern for Cartoon Network in New York, he witnessed the September 11th attacks in 2001 and decided that he needed to change his perspective on life, stating in loose terms, I am paraphrasing here, F art, I need to make a difference. It was then that he wrote what would become the first My Chemical Romance songs, Skylines and Turnstiles, which was inspired by the events of September 11th. So he formed the band with his brother Mikey Way, guitarist Ray Toro, and drummer Matt Piliaser. Sorry if I'm saying that name wrong. And the two toured, made the album I Brought You My Bullets, You Brought Me Your Love, but we're not going to dwell on My Chemical Romance all that much. However, we are going to dwell on more his life during these eras, because when they got to the 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge era, he got very addicted to prescription pills and alcohol, causing huge problems in in his band and in his life and everything like that. He ended up having a revelation that he should clean himself up. And without getting too graphic, because this is a little bit of a heavy subject matter, it was also during this era that Gerard had planned and even written a note to end his life while the band was on their Japan leg of the tour during 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, but he decided to not to last minute. They recorded the Black Parade album at the famous Paramore Mansion in California, which is said to be extremely haunted. So they thought that the mood of that mansion would help them record the album, but it ended up just driving Gerard Way insane. He became extremely obsessed with Joan of Arc, having terrible nightmares of her burning at the stake, and it actually was what inspired the song on the album Sleep, because he would largely not sleep, not eat for days, and was at one of the lowest mental points of his life, he said during the recording of that album. Speaking of the Black Parade, the concept of the Black Parade, of course, is a concept album. It came from the idea that Gerard Way has that death will come to you in the form of your happiest memory. In the case of the Black Parade, this is the father taking the child to see the marching band in the city as a young child. So that's why when he gets diagnosed with cancer and eventually dies, the Black Parade comes and takes him off to the afterlife. I know, honestly, everything about the My Chemical Romance era of Gerard Way is just weirdly dark. I mean, he was relatively a dark person up until his sobriety in 2007, where he started to become very much happier and a little bit more brighter, which is actually why the transition between the Black Parade to Danger Days is a drastic one of bright colors and bright costumes and superheroes and everything like that. As previously mentioned, I covered My Chemical Romance in a little bit more excess in an earlier episode of the show back in season 2. So if you are interested in learning more about My Chemical Romance, you can either click on the link in the description below if you are watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on a TV, you can visit our website, jameshouseofrock.weebly.com, and we'll have a companion to each episode where you can find more information about what I talk about. So midway through My Chemical Romance's career, he started toying around with an idea for a comic book story. This would inevitably come The Umbrella Academy. He started writing it officially in early 2007, with the first issue coming out of Dark Horse Publishing in September of the same year. The first volume of issues, titled Apocalypse Suite, did extremely well, with the first issue of the series actually needing a reprint. Which is actually relatively uncommon when for an issue to sell completely out. So this was a huge achievement. The series and the first volume ended up going on to win the Eisner Award in 2008 for Best Limited Series. As it currently stands, 2 more volumes of the series were made. Dallas and most recently Hotel Oblivion, which actually just finished up in the last month. And honestly, Umbrella Academy as a whole, to me, is one of my favorite comic book series of all time. I highly suggest that you read it if you're interested in that kind of thing. Because not only is it a wonderful story, but it has stunning artistic integrity from the illustrator Gabriel Bay. So if you're not familiar with the Umbrella Academy, the basic plotline of the show / comic book series is 7 children are born at the same time on the same day to mothers that weren't previously pregnant, each one having some special ability. Now these children were then adopted by Reginald Hargreaves, which takes them and trains them to use their powers to be a superhero team, becoming the Umbrella Academy. So, as I previously mentioned, the series was opted to become a film out of Universal Pictures shortly after the second volume came out, and on the eve of the third volume, but was opted not to be made. However, in 2015, it was instead decided that Universal would not produce it as a film, but as a television show. Work was made on that until it was officially announced as a Netflix show in 2017. Airing its first season in 2019 with the second season planned for early next year. It has already just started filming, and honestly, if you have a Netflix subscription, it is a must watch. Even if you don't know the comic book series, it is fantastically written. The costumes are amazing, the visuals are amazing, They do a fantastic job with the acting and casting. That I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to interpret this comic book. And as I said, you don't even need to know the comic book to enjoy this show. It is just a thoroughly good show that I suggest that you watch as soon as you can. It has all but become one of my favorite shows ever. Beyond the Umbrella Academy, Gerard Way did have some other comic book works. The first of which being a tie-in comic to My Chemical Romance's fourth album, Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, with the graphic novel being officially just titled The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. That was released in 2013 and continued the storyline told by the album about the aftermath of the Killjoys being kidnapped or killed. I don't personally like this graphic novel, but if you're a fan of the album and a fan of Gerard Way's other works, you might enjoy it. I myself am a fan of Gerard Way's other works. However, I was not very pleased with the storyline of the graphic novel to use, so I do suggest that you do check that out as well, because I believe that opinions can be different. However, moving on from that, Gerard Way made a debut in Marvel Comics in 2014, writing an issue of Edge of the Spider-Verse during their Spider-Man Spider-Verse event, with his issue premiering the character Penny Parker, which is most famously now as appeared in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the Sony Pictures animated film that just came out last year. This is the one and only time that I could find that he's ever written for Marvel. However, in 2016, Gerard started an imprint named Young Animal out of DC Comics, becoming the lead writer of the first two series, Doom Patrol and Cave Carson Has a Cybernetic Eye. Now, I've personally read the Doom Patrol interpretation that he's done. I thought he did a pretty fantastic job. However, I have not read Cave Carson. I have also read a couple of the other ones coming out of the imprint that aren't related to him. And honestly, the goofy and quirky take that he has on some of the characters and just like the goofy and quirky nature of the imprint itself is just actually really interesting, because DC has been one to get very dark and grim, and Young Animal is very brightly colored and very upbeat for still having pretty low storylines. So on top of comic book work, he's also worked a little bit in television. In 2001, Gerard co-wrote a pitch with Joe Boyle titled The Breakfast Monkey, which was pitched to Cartoon Network, but then immediately denied because of its similarities to the already on-air show from Cartoon Network, Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That did not necessarily stop him, and he has stated in the past that he would like to continue with the concept of The Breakfast Monkey, especially now in the wake of Aqua Teen Hunger Force being canceled and not being on the air for the last couple of years. The other television work that he's had is he's also made his directorial debut with an episode of the Aquabats Super Show, which, if you're not aware, the Aquabats Super Show is a Power Rangers style show featuring the characters played by the band the Aquabats, which is a superhero team that fights monsters. The episode that Gerard directed would go on to be nominated for a Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Writing in a Children's Series. The episode also featured his brother Mikey Way as the lead singer of a metal band called Asthma. Most recently, in terms of Gerard's music career, Gerard Way has formed Gerard Way and the Hormones. Now, the concept for this band came out a little bit after My Chemical Romance's breakup in 2013, with the first album titled Hesitant Alien releasing on September 30th, 2014, spawning the singles Action Cat and No Shows, and hitting number 16 on the Billboard 200. Now, this album was very much different from his My Chemical Romance days, with the influence being more Britpop rather than the emo pop punk that fans were used to. But when asked why he ended up changing his music style to Britpop, he said that he very much liked the energy and the upbeat and the image around Britpop, and was curious to experiment with it. Now, also on his album is this very strange character called Lola plus G, who is a pink ape that is played by Gerard himself, but is personified as her own character. Now, there's really been little to no explanation as to what Lola is or why Lola exists, but it is a very quirky character that has her own Twitter account. So if you're curious to see her antics, I'll again put those in the description or on the more information tab on James's House of Rock for this episode. A long time went by after Hesitant Alien without any new music from Gerard Way. This was due to Young Animal being developed and taking up a large amount of his time while he was writing the first couple of issues of Doom Patrol. However, he said that he had an itch for music again and went back into the studio earlier last year with October 28, 2018. The first new single, Baby You're a Haunted House, was released, followed monthly by Bringing Down the Germs, and then my personal favorite, Dasher, featuring Lydia Knight as co-vocals, as well as covers of Hazy Shades of Winter by Simon and Garfunkel, and Happy Together by, I believe it's the Turtles or the Toads. Don't hold me on that, I'm sorry. Both of these covers were featured in the Umbrella Academy TV show and also featured former bandmate Ray Toro, with Hazy Shades of Winter being the song for the first trailer for the show, and Happy Together being featured in one of the episodes. A little bit about Gerard Way's personal life. Gerard met lyn-z Bellato, better known by her stage name lyn-z, Lyn-Z, while on tour with the band that she was the bassist for, Mindless Self-Indulgence. In 2007, the two married backstage on the final date of the same tour that they met, with their daughter, Bandit, being born on May 27th, 2009. Now, for Gerard, he hasn't always identified with masculine traits and largely considers himself more feminine. And actually, he said when he found out about transgenderism and everything like that, he actually deeply considered becoming a female at a point. And I actually, now thinking about it, believe that Lola plus G might be a reflection of that. However, don't hold me to that. That is my personal opinion. However, he has always gone against the gender norms and still, like I said, largely identifies with feminine traits. On top of albums that he's just appeared on, he's also done a lot of guest appearances. There are far too many to list here on the show. However, as previously mentioned, I have a more information tab where you can find all the information about this episode and future episodes on my website, jameshouseofrock.weebly.com. However, I would just like to highlight my personal favorite guest appearance, Professional Grievers, which was a song by deadmau5, the dubstep artist from 2012. And I love this single because it has a fantastic vocal and instrumental mix. I think Gerard Way's vocals work really well with EDM and dance influences. And what was even cooler is the music video. The music video features the two of them in an arena-style robot fight with them fighting mechs in a dome while the music is playing. And it's just such a Hollywood level thing that's just, I love deadmau5's videos in general, but of course I gotta go with my favorite with Gerard Way. So that's about it for Gerard Way's life and career. I hope you learned a couple of cool new things. And of course, as I keep mentioning, visit our website if you're curious to learn more, and check out the episode on My Chemical Romance if you'd like to learn a little bit more about their history. Now, I would like to wrap up the episode with a segment that I had previously done to a certain extent. However, I'm going to be calling it this time around the Album Review Corner. Now, today's album review is an album that came out back a couple months ago, AJR's third album, Neo Theater. Now, AJR is a band from New York featuring three brothers, Adam, Jack, and Ryan Met. who self-produce everything out of their living room, and have a very like indie pop style to them. They became very famous with their album The Click, featuring big singles like Sober Up, Weak, and a number of other ones. But their most recent effort, Neo Theater, has honestly been a weird like mix of their old sound and a new sound, which honestly I could really appreciate. I actually wish I had had the album with it. I do definitely suggest that you check it out because the weird mix of like classical with pop and like an EDM like electronica style to it, very like computer-based instruments and everything like that, very deep emotional lyrics that will really hit close to home for some of you. And two of my personal favorite songs on that album are Karma and The Entertainment's Here. Karma is a song where he is talking to his therapist, asking, should I be good? And pretty much, I've been so good, where is my karma? Why is everything still going wrong? Which for most people might just be relatable. I've been incredibly obsessed with AJR in the last in the last year or so, and actually we'll be seeing them coming in November. But yes, Neo Theater is a fantastic continuation of their previous sound with their biggest album, The Click, and featuring a stunning album cover, a cool CD design, and so much good music for you to listen to. So that's my album recommendation for today, or for this episode. And I would just like to do a couple of closing thoughts with you. So this season of James's House of Rock, we will be focusing on more of a multi-segment show, where when we have guests on, which we should starting next episode, I'll be playing games with them, such as music trivia and other fun games that I have involved. We'll be doing more album review corners, as well as a couple of other like recommendation things like music videos or artists to check out. And we'll be keeping the spirit of the original show alive through what I'm going to be calling Artist or Band Spotlight, where midway through the episode I just do a quick summary of a band that I've been interested in, and giving just their brief history and everything like that. So yeah, that's plenty to look forward to for the newest season of James's House of Rock. We'll be airing weekly during this summer 2019. And I would like to just thank you all for watching. Lots of great things, like I said. Follow us on all of our social media accounts. We have a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at James House of Rock. And check out our website, jameshouseofrock.weebly.com. For more information on the episodes, our previous episodes, and just a lot of other fun music news and everything else as we go. So again, thank you all for watching. This has been the first episode back at James's House of Rock. It's good to be back, and I'll see you all next episode.